All right, guys, we are live. And today we're going to do a little bit different. We got the whiteboard behind me. And if you look at the title up here, we're talking about 21 days to get your first wholesale deal. So I don't care if you haven't got a wholesale deal or you're just trying to jumpstart it, this is going to be the video for you. I am going to break this down from start to finish. I'm going to try to get this done in an hour and a half, but it's going to be a tight window. So do me a favor, use the comments, introduce yourself, let us know where you're going from. Let me know if you're going to see us in Orlando. We are going to be up there tomorrow. And I want to go ahead and just do more of an education style. And let me jump onto it. I got to figure out how to do this. So the first thing is, if you came across this video, you're probably interested in wholesaling. You're thinking like, what the heck is all this wholesaling about? And I want to tell you, the first things we have to do is just break down the basics of wholesaling. You know why? Because nobody ever does this. They make this business so complicated. So we have to understand what the basics of wholesaling is. So the first thing is, wholesaling is just finding motivated sellers that need to sell their house, matching them with cash buyers with the contract, and you capturing the difference. That's it. I've been doing this almost 22 years. People try to complicate it. And today people are coming up with all different types of techniques that you can do. Novations, installments. These are all legitimate, but they're not wholesaling. I'm only here to talk to you about wholesaling today and show you how you can absolutely make a killing with wholesaling. So the first thing you have to do is go over to freewholesaling.com. It's a free course me and my son have created with over 28 years experience, I think 29 years now, and we give you it from start to finish. So if you're considering buying someone's course, go here first. If you want to learn the most about wholesaling, if you want to cut through the paywall that every one of these gurus, remember, they all get together and they have meetings on how they can coach you up and take more money from you. But the problem is, me and Zach do it the other way around. We just provide you tremendous education and value. So the more people I can help, the more money I'm going to make, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So the basics of wholesaling is real simple. First of all, you have your seller. And then basically what you do is you enter into a contract with the seller. I'm going to give you the 30,000 foot view. And then basically from there, you are going to take that contract and you're going to do what we call assign your rights. Follow me so far. And this is going to wind up going to your cash buyer. Don't worry, I'm going to get into grave detail on this. So you're basically going to take it this way. This is your contract. Say your contract is for $150,000. And then basically say your cash buyer says, listen, Rick, I'll take over your contract. I'll give you $165,000. I love that property. It'd be perfect for me. And so that's $165,000. Okay. From this, we are going to enter in what we call an assignment of contract. And that's basically going to give your cash buyer all the rights you had in the original contract, and then they're going to pay you $15,000. Like, Rick, dude, it can't be that easy. I'm telling you, it's this easy. People overcomplicate this business. You're thinking 15 grand. The average that we deal with, that me and Zach teach, is anywhere from 10K to around 15K. That's the averages. There's some higher and lowers, but for the most part, how would you like to make 10 or 15 grand by just going out, finding a property that needs to get sold, matching it up with a cash buyer, selling your contract? We're not realtors, and then collecting $15,000. Imagine if you could do that 3, 4, 5 times in a month. Well, I'm here to tell you, you can absolutely do it. So let's keep moving forward here. If we know how to do that, then the next thing we have to do is we have to decide which market we're going to take. So You guys got the basics here. Don't worry, it's recorded. So now that you know what the basic fundamentals are, is you got to ask yourself now is, well, who in the world, who would sell their properties for a big discount? And it's a legitimate question because I had this when I came in and I was like, oh my gosh, who's actually going to sell me their contract? Well, I'm going to tell you what, you need to look for what we call motivated wholesalers. I'm sorry, motivated sellers. Motivated, yeah. It's like a spell check. So you got to find motivated sellers. There's only two types. I want you to understand that there's only two types that are going to work. Ready? The first one is going to be a house motivation. What do I mean by that? Simple. A house motivation means the house is motivated. It's ugly, it's distressed, and it needs lots of maintenance. Now, why I like this is because there's a lot of houses that are motivated out there. You guys see them every day driving around your neighborhoods. The other one is you have what we call a motivated seller. A lot of people just talk about the motivated seller, but here's the reality. A motivated seller usually has a financial trigger. It could be death. It could be loss of job. It could be a probate. It could be they just can't afford the house anymore. So when I look for motivated sellers in wholesaling, we only have two types of deals we look for. We're going to look for the house motivation if the house is ugly, or if the seller's motivated financially. Maybe they need to get money because they got a big bill due. There's all sorts of things that come up. And here's the really cool part is when you hit what we call the double whammy in wholesaling, you get them both together. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. It's not as common. But here's the deal is, if the house is motivated, eventually that is going to sell to someone like you and me. It's just a matter of timing. And we teach you how to follow up in the process in freewholesaling.com to address both situations. If the house is really ugly and the seller lost their job and they're in like foreclosure, which would be another one, it's like the perfect storm. And this is who I'm targeting. If you're going to notice on here, I do not put MLS. This is not where you go to start in wholesaling. People go to MLS to buy pretty properties that they wanted to sell for top dollar. So we don't want to do that. And you have to understand that. Most of the time in wholesaling, wholesalers are looking in the wrong areas. You guys are being distracted by novations, installment contracts. You're doing creative financing. You've never even done your first wholesale deal. I love creative finance. The other two I'm not crazy about because it has nothing to do with wholesaling. So if we know this, then we have to understand we are looking for motivated sellers. And if we know we're looking for motivated sellers, we have 3 rules we must apply now. So this is the who, and this is going to be the why of wholesaling. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if you don't get this part right, you won't make it in wholesaling. I know this for a fact. I've been doing this almost 22 years, and this is the biggest problem I see in wholesalers. What are the 3 rules? If you break these 3 rules, you are going to struggle getting the deal under contract for the right price. You'll struggle finding a cash buyer for your contract, and it's going to stress you out in the end, and you're probably going to have to unwind the contract. And this is what drives people to quit. So rule number 1. You ready? Here we go. It has to be off market. I can't stress this enough to you. The reason is off market, you have less competition. You are not bidding to write the highest contract. And let's face it, guys, you already know why properties go to MLS. It's people who just want to sell their properties. Off market gets you the best wholesale deals. Can you get a deal on our market? Yes. It is much tougher. And if you're just starting out in wholesaling, you're taking my crash course right here, which I'm not charging you a dime for, focus on off market. You'll thank me later. I'll show you in today's video how to get them. Number 2, this is important. You have to be direct to seller. I can't stress this enough. You see, because we're going to teach you how to develop a relationship with the seller. A lot of other courses teach you just to crunch numbers. Here's the secret to wholesaling, guys. Wholesaling is a people business. The real estate is just a side effect. And so if you don't learn to connect with people, if you're just focusing on the real estate, you're just being transactional. You're looking at the math. The math is not what gets the best wholesale deals. We connect with people. I'm going to show you how to do it. So number 1, off market. Number 2, direct to seller. Number 3, this is a big one. We are looking for people who need to sell. Do you know what the difference between a need and a want is? It confuses a lot of people. Let me give you an example. Do you need water at the end of the day? Some form of liquid, right? You must have it. You need it to survive. Period. It's a need. Now, if I walk into a Lamborghini car dealership, do I need that Lamborghini? I can probably drive a Honda Civic and it'll pretty much do the same thing. It's just that you want the Lamborghini because it's going to give you that feeling. And I'm fine with wants. But the difference is, if you guys go out and chase people who want to sell a house, you are not wholesaling. You're literally wasting your time. And this is the fundamental difference I have to teach everybody on this, is we've got to find motivated sellers with these 3 rules. And the most important one in the end is you got to find people who need to sell their house. Who needs to sell their house? My house is in pre-foreclosure. I need to get it sold so I don't get a foreclosure on my record and I don't get kicked out of my house. I can't afford my mortgage anymore, Rick. I've got to get the property sold. Hey, Rick, my renter trashed my property and I don't have the $15,000 to fix it up. I was never made out to be a landlord. I need to sell my property. See, all you have to use is these 2 things God gave you and listen. The difference between a need and want is everything. The wants, ready for this? They all go to MLS. So I'm going to have to deal with like 1,000 people on MLS to even have a shot at 1 or 2 deals. Where if I focus on people that need to sell, I have great probability of getting a wholesaling deal. Remember, you don't want to be busy in wholesaling. Busy means you're broke. Busy just means you're running around and you're keeping up super busy. And I don't want you to do that. And you've got to understand how this works on that. So everybody understand this part, because I'm going to erase the board. It's all recorded. And then we're going to jump in. And now we're going to jump in on how to get started in this business. So remember, but if you don't have a compass and you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. And I find most people that jump into wholesaling is they don't understand what they're looking for. And I get it. You go online these days and there's endless amount of courses and videos, and God knows me and Zach add to those numbers. But we do it because we're so frustrated with what's being taught out there. So you find a course and you go just like this. You go, oh my God, I can go to MLS and everything's there. Check this out. Look, Rick, the pics are there. The price is there. The seller's rep is there. Seller's info rep. They even tell me what the condition is. And here's what happens. You all buy into it. It sounds perfect. Hey, just go to MLS. There's a list. You just pull them off there. You don't need to pull all these government lists. And everything's going to be there. You know what this says right now? This is what happens when you do this. It's going to be super easy up front. It's easy. All this is easy. The problem is it appears easy. You bought a course on it. It says it works. Okay. They should be doing it full time, but probably not. But it's easy. And here's what my old football coach told me. Rick, when I played defensive line and I had no experience, but I had the size for it, I would get in there and I would just start to go to the quarterback and a pulling guard or a tackle would take me out. And my coach says, Rick, if it seems too easy to get in there, it's a trick. And you're going to have to lean in. You're going to have to take on that blocker. After a while, I figured out after a few smelling salts back in the 80s. If it's super easy up front, it's going to be brutally hard on the back end. Do you understand that? These easy peasy courses, squeezies, whatever you want to call them, they're all designed to generate coaching dollars. They are not going to get you the results you want. I'm not saying you can't get a deal off MLS, but I'm telling you a beginner strategy starting out in wholesaling on MLS, it's torture. Why? Contracts aren't assignable. You have to have high EMD. You're going to have to create a proof of funds, and you can't walk your buyers through that. It means you're going to have to lie to everybody involved in the transaction. And we do not want to do that in wholesaling. So we're going to flip this around. What I'm about to teach you right now, I'm going to do the hard up front, and then it becomes super easy. Think about this. If you have awkward, uncomfortable conversations with your sellers now, develop a great relationship with them. You're going to be nervous. It's going to make you feel uncomfortable, but you'll get to the truth. And when you get to the truth, you can get a great wholesaling deal. Then when you have a great deal, it's 2 or 3 phone calls. You have a cash buyer. They take over your contract. It's super easy. Now, if you want to do it this way and start out with MLS, go for it. But remember, these are all properties that they want to sell them. Okay? Want, you have to replace with need. So if you take this route, it's super easy. I have all these great conversations with realtors, and then they ask your proof of funds, your EMD, and then you hit them with a super low price. They hang up on you, and then you're going to go, oh my God, I spent all this money on this course. It sounded like a great idea, but it's brutally hard. I'm going to go connect with Rick and Zach at freewholesaling.com, and that's what most of our students do. Guys, I'm going to teach you how to do the hard right now, because it's so important. And if you'll just do the hard work up front, you don't have to do all these tricks and all this stuff going on. So if you're okay doing the hard, let me know in the comments, because I'm not looking at everything, but I want you to understand this is what we have to do. So, okay, let's keep going. So now we want to talk about the mechanics. I'm going to teach you the hard right now. Let's just get it out of the way. Because if you'll embrace the hard, you'll win at wholesaling. If you want to cheat and want an easy cheat, go with most of these gurus online. Because you're chasing around properties of people who want to sell. They're literally a waste of time. They'll keep you busy and broke. Busy means broke. Busy equals broke. I'd rather you just work with people that need to sell their house instead of wasting your time with people that want to sell their house, because it just makes you busy, and busy is going to make you broke. So we can't have that. So we got to move forward. So the next thing is we have to decide which market. This is probably your next one, right? Which market do I do, Rick? I'm so glad you asked. Now, your only question is if you do it local or you do it virtual. Board keeps wiggling on me. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of you are in different areas. You got different saturations. Stop complaining about saturation. It is a ego stat you make up in your head. The only exception is going to be Miami, San Francisco, and New York City. And maybe parts of, well, I'm not going to bring in those states. So in a perfect world, you would do both. Always do deals in your backyard. Why? Because you know it, you know the numbers, and it works. Now, if you're in a multi-million-dollar market, you have to consider going virtually. And if you understand going virtually, say you're in San Francisco, or say you're in LA or something like that, how do I pick my virtual market? I'm so glad you asked. Here's how we do it. Number one, average median price. If you don't know it, Google it, use ChatGPT, use Airbart. It's all in there. Zillow will do it for you. Come up with the average median price of the markets that you're researching. The next, you are going to look at the population. Now, ideally, we want to stay 400K and below. Why? Because that's where a majority of the demand for the housing is. When you start to get into the upper level houses, they're more apt to work with brokers, and it's going to take a longer time to sell, and you're going to scare off your cash buyers, mostly fix and flippers. Population, ideally 100K. Why? Because that's where the cash buyers are. Statistically, if you have a larger population, it is easier to sell your contracts. Give me a population of like 20K. I already know you're going to struggle selling your contracts. Why? Because there's just not enough cash buyers there. I learned this the hard way. I've learned this in almost every market across the entire country. And the only time we turn around when your contract price is above the average median price, or it's in a very, very expensive neighborhood, and the population is well below 100K. So if those are my rules, go ahead and employ those now. And I want you to take those on. And you have to do that. Let me check us on time here. Okay. So the next thing we have to do, let me switch markers here. The next step is now we're on the hunt. We're going to go look. So don't worry. I'm going to show you the techniques to find motivated sellers. Now we have to qualify the sellers. Well, Rick, how do I do that? Well, first, make sure you followed our previous rules as I did in this video. Off-market, direct to seller, people that need to sell their house. If you stick with that, this actually gets a lot easier. See, if you keep qualifying people that want to sell their house, you're literally wasting your time. So what I want to do is qualify my sellers. And all I'm going to do is take my acronyms, MCTP. And if you wanted that, the first one stands for motivation. We want to find out, why are they selling their house? This is the why. You should always know why someone's selling a house. Sometimes they'll tell you, hey, Rick, I'm just trying to make $1 million. I already know I can disqualify that person right off the bat. Now, a lot of times the motivation will come on its own. The reason we teach you MCTP is because most gurus give you these complicated scripts. You guys try to memorize them, or you try to have sheets of paper sitting out, and you get lost. And a lot of times the seller, let me just go ahead and write all these out, and I'll explain them to you. Time frame, and then condition. So a lot of times you say, seller, hey, tell me a little bit more about the house. I want to learn about your house. And they go, listen, what's your price, Rick? What's your price? And you're like, wait a minute. I didn't get the M done first. Hold on, you're screwing me up. You've got to stop. I've got to get this done. And the reality is, if you memorize these, so if they go, okay, M, he asked for P, and I'm just going to say simply, I go, Mr. Seller, you mind if I ask you a few more questions so I can get you the best price possible? They'll never say no to that. And then I'm going to jump back up here. Tell me, why is it you're selling the house? I'll just go back and ask it. And they go, well, how quickly can you close, Rick? I am so glad you asked me that. So the next one on there is time frame, and we have condition. But what happens if they start jumping around is, if I just memorize MCTP, I don't care, write it on your arm, whatever, you can't screw it up. That's why I give you, me and Zach give you the basic concept of how to qualify, because you have to have it memorized up here. And so if he screws me up there, I know I can jump. I don't have to go MCT. I can go TPCM. It's 4 acronyms. That's it. Simplify it. The more you simplify your wholesaling, the better it's going to be. So if we understand this, the first one we talked about the motivation. Why do I want to qualify? Because I have to decide if this is worthy of a wholesale deal. Remember, you're going to disqualify more people than you qualify in wholesaling, and you've got to understand that. I'm not paid by the hour. I'm paid by the deal. So I don't want to waste my time. The next one is the condition. We're talking about the condition of the house. It's either going to be positive, negative, or kind of just neutral. Obviously, we're targeting houses that already have issues, so a lot of issues are going to come up with it. Time frame. This, to me, is the most valuable one you can have under qualifying. You know why? Sometimes they muddle through the motivation, the condition. Let's face it, some of them lie to us on it. There's a reason that they want to sell it fast. And then we come down the time frame. And I just say, Mr. Seller, if I was able to buy your house, where are you going to be going to? And just shut your mouth. And I go, well, I haven't really thought about it. If it means they haven't thought about it, that means they could be 90 to 180 days out. What's that telling me? I don't know how urgent their motivation is. Now, if they go, Mr. Rick, I need to be out of here by the end of the month, which is in 3 weeks because I'm moving back in with grandma, and I have a U-Haul coming in here. Can we get this deal done in 3 weeks? Bingo. That is a great sign. That's why I like time frame. Because honestly, if people have not thought about if they're going to move, you're probably not going to get a wholesale deal in the near future from them. The last one is price. We're always going to gauge price. Now, I don't use the word price. I'm going to use the word need. See, a lot of people will teach you how to use the word ask, offer. I don't like these terminologies. I simply say, what do you need to get rid of the house? Once again, I'm thinking from the basics. I'm only looking for people who need to sell me a house. If you want to sell me the house, this qualification process will make no sense to you. That's why I don't want you spending time with people who want to sell your house, because you're going to wind up here at busy and broke, and it becomes extremely painful. Now, at this point, you guys are going to freak out. I'm going to come over here on the next section, and you are going to go, okay, I got to comp it, Rick. I got to comp these properties. And here's what most wholesalers do. They comp every lead that comes in. Do you know anyone like that? Guys, if you comp every lead that comes in, you are a glorified realtor. I'm not teaching you to get your realtor's license. There's plenty of gurus who'll go tell you to go get your realtor's license because that makes you serious. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Okay? If you want to be a realtor, go be a realtor. You want to be a wholesaler, pay attention to this video because I'm giving you the truth. Stop comping your properties. Until they become qualified, you don't even consider comping. Period. If I have 100 leads and each one of them takes me 20 minutes to comp, how much time is that going to take? It's going to take hours and hours. The reality, if I work with 100 leads, 3 to 5 are worth having a deep conversation and 1 or 2 wind up. Once I get towards writing a contract and meeting with them, I'll comp the property. See, most of you are being taught to comp the properties beforehand. You know why? I know exactly why you do it. Because you want certainty. Why? Because you want certainty. You want to know what the outcome is going to be. And I'm here to tell you, I can't guarantee it. You are not going to get a guarantee on what the outcome is. You're going to have to take risks. So stop comping properties right off the bat. The only time we comp a property in wholesaling, I'm talking about wholesalers. If you want to go learn like an MLS flipping course, go somewhere else. They teach it. You have to comp everything because you're basically a pseudo realtor. On this one, once they're qualified, meaning, hey, it's off market, it's direct to seller, they need to sell, and this is their issue. I'm dialed in. Now I just got to figure out what the repairs in the house. Easiest part of it all. What if I told you you shouldn't spend more than 2 minutes comping a property? It's true. You shouldn't. If you spend more than 2 minutes, I used to spend 10, but now I have, if you want to learn how to really do it, go over to X Leads. That's another video though. I can comp any property inside of xleads.com, period. End of story. 2 minutes. The reason why I put you on a 2-minute timer, because you've got to buy the property so low in wholesaling. Just get an average comp and move on with your life. See, realtors try to get the perfect comp, In wholesaling, we don't care. It's a property's worth between 150 and 165. I need to buy it at 100. That's it. So why are you going to sit there and spend hours trying to like figure out if it's 162,576? It doesn't matter. When you get closer, you can really dial it in. The 2-minute comp, and then if you're getting to a contract, meaning you're going to go meet with them, I'm going to give you a plus 5 minutes. You know why? Because if you're paying close to the full value of the house, you're going to get killed. You have to be so far below it. And I don't understand why wholesalers do not get this concept. The reason is because you have a lot of people out there teaching, they tell you it's wholesaling, but what they're trying to do is just teach you to be glorified like real estate agents and make a little bit of money off of it. My average deal is 10 to 15 grand, just a straight up assignment of contract. And I do a lot better than that, but that's what I started out doing it. So we don't qualify. Once they become qualified, we do a 2-minute comp. If we do a contract, I give you an extra 5 minutes on it. It's that simple. It's that simple. Okay. So now we're going to walk into the meat and potatoes, what every guru is going to charge you a fortune to teach you. And I'm telling you, they're going to struggle with this. Remember, I'm teaching wholesaling. I do not teach fix and flip. I do not teach you how to be a glorified real estate agent. I don't teach you how to be a matchmaker for everyone. You need to go out and source your own deals. Okay, this is recorded, guys, so don't worry about what I'm erasing. Now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of what every guru will never share with you, because God forbid they teach somebody for free, because they might go broke because they probably don't wholesale anymore. And I love wholesaling. I have a problem with it. It might be an affliction, a disease. I enjoy it. I enjoy it as much as the UFC. I enjoy it as I just think it's awesome. I think it's the highest skill set. And I love people go, it's just like a rookie starter thing. Everybody that knows how to wholesale always wholesales to a degree, because there's some properties that just need to be wholesaled. So the next thing we have to understand that we have to do is we are now going into and talking about contracts, negotiations, and how to do this. This is the stuff you all want to know. I'm just going to peel it back and show you. I'm going to show you how I wrote contracts today, how I wrote them this weekend, and how I write them the rest of my life. The next thing we have to do here, let's change that color here, is now, so we've gone through the qualify. So now we are going to go into rapport building. I can't stress this enough. This is not fake stuff. Most people will teach you what they call sales training. Sales training. Let me give you my sales training. Okay? People are sick of this crap. The sales training, listen, I love Grant Cardone. I love all the, I love Andy Elliott. But the reality when it comes to wholesaling, you don't sell them. You are just a guide. You are being a guide. You're keeping them on the yellow brick road when they get off course. And you've got to understand this. Sales training does not work in wholesaling. I've proven it over and over again. Why? Because you are finding motivated sellers that need to sell their house. So when I find the right person, I go, Rick, my house is in pre-foreclosure. Please help me. We just need to agree on terms and price. That's it. There's no magic words to sell them. There's no sales training in wholesaling. Let me tell you, I came from a sales training background. I threw it all out the window when I went to wholesaling. I thought I was going to kick butt. Honestly, I find people do much better in wholesaling without sales training. Why? You need to learn to do rapport building. And all rapport building is basically taking the scripts and then you're just converting them into conversations. This is it, guys. You have to understand this. Scripts, the conversations. Now go to freewholesaling.com. I give you the basic scripts. And rapport building means we just got to go from scripts to conversations. These are more open-ended questions. And here's the key to this, right? If you want to do sales training, you won't be authentic. You'll be fake. You'll probably be wearing a jacket. You're probably going to wear a hat like a famous guru does. And remember, that guru doesn't wholesale. They sell courses. I'm not here to sell you a course. You've got to understand this. So if you understand there's no sales training, that's the biggest fallacy you're being told in wholesaling. And I'm just telling you, I've done this for 22 years. Whenever I've hired an acquisitions person with immense sales training, they're usually my worst acquisitions people. If I take someone that has a great attitude and wants to help people out and they take my information, they do extremely well. So rapport building, conversations. How do we be conversations? It's real simple, guys. We have to understand that we need to be authentic. Authenticity, it doesn't exist in this world anymore. With social media, with all these like sales training, it's out of control. It's really refreshing. Now, authentic doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean you're not after a result. That's what most people, authentic things like, oh, you just wander around, you're just your own natural self. No, authentic means you use your own personality, you remove your ego, and you're there with the best education in wholesaling from freewholesaling.com, and you guide your seller down the path. Listen, if your seller wants $1 million for their beat up property, there's nothing you can say to them. There's no magic sales training to make them take that. If I had it, I would give it to you. There's no magic sales training. You have to have direction. So here's how here's how it always goes. Okay? It's a funnel. Now, I'm not talking about your typical funnel is all your leads come in here. Okay? This is you. That's you. You are the guide rails. You see how I say guide? And then you keep working your leads down here. Now, not all of them are going to fit. And you get down to the ones that you want right in this area, and they're going to go left, they're going to go right. And your job is to keep squeezing them back here until you get to the closing. That's it. So I want you to envision that as I walk you through and show you how to do it. So you have to have this vision when you do it. Otherwise, it's not going to work. I can tell you, I see more sales training being sold than anything else right now. And in a car dealership, yes. In the hotel business, yes. In the insurance business, yes. In wholesaling, we're looking for distressed properties and sellers. They need to get them sold quick. We do not sell them. Remember, if it's based on price alone, you're not wholesaling. You're going to get killed. So now we got to get into basically, we get to this point, we've built up an incredible rapport. Now we're getting into it. And now this is the point where a lot of you guys are going to screw it up. Okay, we're okay on time. Is now I'm going to teach you to go into what we call, so you have amazing rapport. You ever connect with someone, it's like, ah, it's great. And you go, crap, I got to close them and I got to sell them. This is where you all clam up and you're not your authentic self, and the sellers feel it. I will tell you this, sellers feel your energy. If you're nervous and you're like talking fast and they're like, dude, what's this guy or gal's problem? They feel it. You have to calm down. By you being your authentic self, you bring a calmness to the situation. They're already nervous. This is the biggest decision of their life a lot of times, maybe other than marriage. It's a whole nother conversation. So now we have to go what we call a transition statement. So a lot of you get lost on this because you don't know how to close people and you're nervous to do the negotiations. I fully admit it, when I started wholesaling, it was my biggest problem. So I came up with a little trick called a transition statement. And it simply goes like this. I'm not even going to write it out because it's too long, but you can play the recording back. Hey, Mr. Seller, I could talk about your kids all day long. I can talk about that great Corvette in the garage and your amazing family, but I did come here to meet with you to see if we could get your house bought. Do you mind if we sit down and I ask you some questions to see if we can put a deal together? That's it. I just say, hey, listen, we can talk all day. Because here's the problem. If you do not transition from rapport building, you're going to lose all credibility. You go, crap, Rick, you're making me sell. No, we're just going to go over the facts. And we are going to go in. And now we are going into a negotiation. And this is where you're all like scratching your head. How do I do the negotiations? I'm going to simplify this for you. I can't, like this one, This is a big pet peeve of mine. So most of you out there, you do this thing called what? Righty? MAO. And that stands for maximum, let's just call it max offer. Now I want you to think of the psychology of this right off the bat. Max or maximum offer. Should I go into a wholesaling deal with the maximum offer right off the bat? I'm not saying don't know where your limits are. The reality, an MAO should be just, I think it should be eliminated, because here's what you guys do. I'm gonna draw you a visual on this. You ready? So we have our MAO. And this is what everybody does. Everybody focuses on MAO. I just like, MAO is the last resort. It's the last number you ever throw out. But you guys want to know instantly what your MAO is. Why? Because you want certainty. And that's fine. Here's the problem. If you go into a negotiation with your MAO on the top of your head, you're going to throw it out there. And then what are you going to do? Let me illustrate. I keep dropping stuff. Okay. You got to visually look at this. Okay. Now, this is, let's just call this the retail. We don't want anything to do with this number, right? And then this is going to be the bottom number. Now, let me ask you, if you're a wholesaler, which side do you want to be closer, to the bottom line number or to the top line number? And if you got half a brain, you'd be like, dude, Rick, I want to be over here. You want to be on this side. I get excited here. So when we talk about MAO, you all think about what's the most I can offer that the seller will say yes. I got to get a yes from the seller. And I'm here to tell you, it is the worst advice you can ever take. You guys, some of you guys have these cute little formulas, 70% of MAO and minus repairs and plus my assignment fee. Simplify, simplify, simplify. So let's just say your seller is right here. You know what? Let me make a better point before I even do this. You ready? So you guys come out here with your MAO, right? Be honest. How many of you guys just throw out your MAO on the first shot? I see it all the time. Don't lie to me. I know what's going on. You do an MAO. Why? Because you want to get a big fat yes. And what if I told you getting a yes is the worst thing you can do in wholesaling on your first offer? You know why? Yes is going to be easy, and then it's going to be brutally hard at the end. Remember, we talked about this before. If you will have the hard conversations up front, it will make your path easier in the long run. The reason you guys don't want to do it, you're scared, you're uncomfortable, and it makes you like sick in your stomach. If you get that feeling, you're at the right offer. If you feel good about making your offer, you're trying to telepathically guess what your seller's bottom line number is. Guess what? You're guessing, what if your seller's all the way over here? But you all think your seller's always right here. I don't know why, but that's what you guys, every one of you think your seller's like sitting at the retail thing. And you think I'm going to hit them at the MAO and they're just going to have to take it. Here's the problem. If you make an MAO offer and they say no, what are you going to do? What do you do? I'm stuck. What am I going to do? So stop using the MAO offer. You should always know where like the most you can offer, but never, ever make that your first offer. You guys are trying to guess what your seller wants, but what if your seller's over here? This happens all the time to me. And this is how I came up with this methodology. I'm going to save you from yourself. Rick, this sounds like a very advanced strategy. It's not. It's actually designed for the beginner, and the most senior people should use it because you will learn a valuable lesson. So let's go back here. The problem with the MAO is if you make the MAO offer here and say your seller is right here, psychologically, I want to let you know what this does. You guys understand in wholesaling, especially in real estate, the goalposts move all the time based on what people say. So you throw out your MAO and you're close to the seller. Seller goes, crap, I didn't think he was going to offer me that much. So maybe you offered it at 180K and maybe your seller was at 185 and the seller goes, crap, because he's come so close to my number, let me just go ahead and push him a little bit more. And then they change their offer to 190. This happens all the time. They're moving the goalpost on you because you came so close. You thought you were doing the right thing by giving them the highest number and getting a yes. And you still got to know. Let me ask you, what if you get a yes? Do you think that's good? It's terrible. By getting a yes, you are going to get your butt kicked by 100 no's behind it. It means you did not get your bottom line offer number. Now, forget about MAO. Let me teach you about LAO. And that stands for the least allowable offer. So instead of starting with MAO, start with LAO. Now I'm going to give you a warning on this. This technique I'm about to teach you only works if you do a rapport building strategy, scripts the conversations, and you're authentic. If you're going to be one of these greaseballs that are just going to make lowball offers, go over to the MLS gang, let them do it there. You're going to make thousands of offers to even get someone to talk to you. I'm not talking about that. We're going to do an LAO. So what an LAO does, let's just pretend here. This is my LAO. So what happens? Say my offer was at 120K. And I told you my seller was at 185 mentally. Now remember, I decided to stop guessing what the seller is going to take. Why don't we get the actual number? You want to know how to do that? I'm going to show you how to do it. Stop using MAO, use LAO. Now I'm going to warn you, you're going to get a reaction and it's going to freak you out. And they're going to go, what you're looking for is that subconscious gut reaction from their subconscious mind. And here's my favorite. You are looking for a counter. I expect them to say no. I'm using a technique called go for no. Why? Let me let you know a little story on why I use go for no. I once bought a house. I thought I made the guy a really low offer. I threw out the number. He put his hand out, shaked. He shook my hand violently, hugged me, and goes, I am so happy you're buying it for this price. And I scratched my head for the 10 days before I closed. I sold it in one phone call. I still made 25 grand. And after I closed, I asked Mr. Seller, I go, listen, can I ask, why'd you shake my hand so vehemently, like excited? He goes, because I just never thought you'd pay me that much. So I paid him $55,000 for the house. I said, if I offered you 20, would you have taken it? He goes, I probably would have taken 25. And I knew right then and there, I'm never going to guess what's going on in my seller's head because I don't know. So when you do this method, instead of your seller going this way, they're like, crap, I'm at 185. Rick just made an offer at 120. And here's the typical reaction. So what you do is you change their mentality. I want to get them chasing me. If you do the MAO, you have to go chase them and the goalpost is going to move. I want them to take that goalpost and move it this way. So here's how it typically goes. They're at 185. I said, listen, I think the most I can offer you is around 120. And you have to be quiet here. So remember, instead of doing this long, just terrible negotiations, here's what they're typically going to go, Rick, man, like I'm really bothered with that offer you make me. I talked to my wife. We can't take less than 155.7. Oh my God. They just went from 185 to 155, whatever. Now, I can go up a little bit, but I'm still going to try to probably get them around 150. By using the LAO approach, I'm making them chase me a little bit. This also verifies if they're motivated. If they're stuck on a retail number, we're not going to get anywhere. and they probably never made it past my qualification thing. But when I get down to it, I hit my transition statement after I build up my rapport, and then I go into the negotiations and I go, well, the house has a little bit of this. I go, hey, what do you need to get? I always give them the first right to give me the number. Sometimes they don't. And then basically I go with an LAO. You want a no. And you guys are all taught that you want to get a yes on your first offer. It is the worst thing you can do in wholesaling. Remember, if you'll do the hard work up front, you will have the difficult conversations. You can make anything happen in wholesaling. Start going for no. If you go for yes, you probably overpaid for the property. And then you're going to get about 100 no's behind you from your cash buyers because they're going to tell you to overpay for the property. You're going to have to unwind it. So why not just go for it? Get that awkward, uncomfortable conversation. You're going to have pits in your stomach. Wait for that reaction because we are looking for a reaction. Do you guys know what the difference is between a reaction and a response? I'm putting it down here. I'm a tall guy. This is hard for me to squat down. A reaction is what I want from my LAO. Why? Reactions are raw. They're emotional. They're charged with emotions. Emotions are instants. Feeling is just a repetition of an emotion that keeps coming up. I'm looking for the reaction. I want it. I want it. It is a tool to get to the end of the negotiation sooner than later without you screwing it up with your fancy sales training. A response is what I give. And what's a response? It's just an educated response with well thought out manner from your conscious mind. A reaction is raw emotion. And raw emotion gets me more deals in wholesaling than anything else. I have to have this rapport building, and we have to do it that way. And you have to understand how that works. So if you have a question, put it in the comment. I promise I'll go back to the comments. We still got time here. Okay, we're going to keep moving. We're not even close to done. I told you this is going to be jam-packed information. So once again, guys, this is recorded. So don't freak out when I'm erasing it. And let's now get into, you're like, crap, Rick, I got to write a contract loan. You didn't teach me how to write a contract. Well, you're in the right place. So I'm going to leave business broke up here because it's important you understand that. Okay, so let's talk about, so now we need to talk about the contracts. You've come and agreed to a price. So now we're on contracts. Okay, we have two fundamental contracts we work with in wholesaling. The first one is just your simple purchase and sales agreement. That's all that stands for. Now, if you go to freewholesaling.com, we have what we call a wholesale contract. In there. It's a whopping 2 pages. As I said, I'm not here to teach you how to be a realtor. Realtors will give you 20, 25-page contracts. You don't need that. You need simple 2-page contracts or just an agreement. In there, you're going to spell out the price. And by the way, if you go to freewholesaling.com, I walk you through the entirety, how to fill out the entire contract. You can also go to my Flip with Rick YouTube page and it'll all be in there. So if you've never ever done one, I walk you through step by step on how to do it. I strongly advise you use our contracts. Make sure you run it by an attorney in your state. Make sure it's approved for what you're doing. And make sure you have their blessing. Also talk to your title company. The first thing is you're going to have price. We've already talked about this. Now, there's 2 critical factors you need to understand in your contract that you're probably not familiar with if you haven't done a lot of wholesaling. The first one is going to be EMD. And that just stands for earnest money deposit. Money deposit. This is what's given to the title company or the lawyer, depending on what state you're in. And it's, honestly, I don't even understand the purpose of it anymore because it's kind of ridiculous. It has no bearing on the sales price of the property. And I find a lot of wholesalers in the beginning, they try to negotiate this like it's part of the contract. You need to just glaze over this part. Remember, motivated sellers are not going to pick you apart on your earnest money deposit. This is what you're giving to the title company or the lawyer. What I recommend, to be honest, the first 2 years I did this, I didn't use deposits. Remember, you have to have such a great relationship with your seller. The EMD shouldn't be the whole thing holding the deal together, but people look it over. So our recommendation is between $100 and $500. You're thinking, Rick, I thought you said you don't need any money to do this. Use other people's money. Go cut a deal with someone. Cut back. If you can't put $100 aside, then we need to have another conversation. But it's just earnest money deposit. This money's not at risk based on the conditions I'm going to put below. If somebody asks for a $10,000 earnest money deposit for a little old crappy house, you most likely have the wrong seller. Think back. At the off-market, direct to seller, do they need to sell? People that need to sell their house do not beat up the deposit. They just want it sold. I said, Mr. Seller, we're going to wind up paying cash for your house. The earnest money deposit just opens up to pull the title. It's customary. Remember, I'm going to get you the entire chunk of money. Let's just move forward. I do not spend time negotiating, and EMD does not negotiate. Does not make a buyer any more solid than someone without it. Maybe it does visually, like, let's be brutally honest. But in the terms of the contract, the next one is going to be the inspection period. And this is very confusing for most people. Now, I'm here to tell you, I am what I call a responsible wholesaler. I write contracts for properties that I know I can close and I can solve people's problems. How do I do that? I have to buy the contract for the lowest price possible. If I pay too much for it, this is where all the games come in the wholesaling. I do not subscribe to that theory. I think you guys should follow through. If you're in a local market, you should have an 80% success rate. If you're doing virtually, you're going to be 55 to 60% because you can't see everything and certain things can pop up. The inspection period for a perfect wholesale contract would be 30 days. So Rick, that sounds like forever. The problem is most realtors advise a 3 to 7 day inspection period. Guys, if you're brand new to this business, finding a cash buyer in 3 to 7 days, it's very hard to do. So you want to go in 30 days. Well, Rick, how do I get 30 days? Find a motivated seller. They will not obsess about this because they have problems. They want to get the house sold. If you find someone that wants to sell the house, they're going to beat the crap out of you on inspection period and EMD. This is the perfect world. Now, maybe you already have if I have a cash buyer built in, I have a preset cash buyer. Maybe you're doing reverse wholesaling. Then maybe you could do less than 15 days. But guys, keep in mind, if you do not have a robust cash buyers list and it's your first deal, stick to 30 days or more. I've seen my students get 90, 180 days. Be respectful. And if you can't find a cash buyer by like the 22nd, 23rd day, either get out of the contract or renegotiate it. It means you overpaid for it. Most people that can't sell their wholesale contracts, there's one reason only, because they took the easy route. They overpaid for the property. They got a yes on the first answer. They felt really good because they watched someone's video where just slap whatever you can up on the wall and see if it sticks. And then the real work started. They got no after no after no. And every cash buyer said, you're paying too much, just renegotiate it. And then you got to go back and have that awkward conversation. Guys, I'd rather just do it right the first time. Every now and then we miss stuff on a property, but if you contract it and have that hard conversation up front, it's easy. But it's a challenge to get past the hard stuff. It's scary. I'm the first to admit it, but I'm teaching you techniques to get you through this. So this is the first one you're going to have EMD. The second one, which I'll do in a different color, we'll do it in red, is going to be your assignment of contract. Sucks being tall sometimes. Okay, now here's the good news. My assignment of contract, once again, freewholesaling.com. We just give it to you. Why? Because I want you to win. Why do you have to pay me $5,000 for me to give you 2 contracts that probably you could get on the internet anyways? I want you to win. I want to do JV deals with you. Assignment of contract, it's all inside of freewholesaling.com. Your assignment of contract is basically going to assign your rights over to your new cash buyer. So basically, if you sold the property for $100,000, you have it under contract with your seller, and you're going to sell them to them for $120,000. You basically have in there, written in there, a $20,000 assignment fee. What does that do? That allows you to collect $20,000 without having a realtor's license, without ever actually owning the property. But remember, our job is to help sellers solve a problem. The last thing you want to do as a wholesaler is create another problem for your sellers. Provide a service. Become the most resourceful wholesaler that they will ever find. And the idea is you only have to have 2 contracts to make this work. The problem with a lot of these like little gimmick courses that you see out there that do this because then you don't have to do wholesale. You don't have to compete with any of them. They're going to have a bunch of other fancy contracts in here. I'm telling you guys right now, if you find someone that they say, listen, you got to do a power of attorney. Well, do you see the word attorney in there? That should create a red flag for the bat. We don't do that. What's the next one? Hey, what if we record a lien? I don't know. What service do we provide? I'm not going to record a lien. Hey, what if we do a listing agreement? I'm not a realtor. I'm not going to do this. All this stuff right here is just, you don't need any. This is not wholesaling. It is not wholesaling. This is wholesaling. This is a distraction. Can you do that? You can do that. But if you don't know what you're doing, understanding these have a high failure ratio, and you're recording public documents. And when you record something, you're at risk for defamation of title. And if you've never been sued for that, trust me, you don't want any part of it. Stick to wholesaling. It is the most transparent, clear way to do it. You don't have to lie to people when you do it. And you have to understand from start to finish, this is how we do it. This is the final part on the contracts. And at freewholesaling.com, we provide you all the contracts. If you need help, reach out to me and Zach. The reason we do this is, number one, I want you to be successful. Number two, I want you to do a ton of wholesale deals. And if you don't understand where to start, how to do this, I know this is a lot. I'm not even done. We're going to flip the board around and keep going here. We have to do this. So, and my handwriting is always a little bit rough. So you're thinking, Rick, okay, great. I understand the mechanics of wholesaling. I understand how to pick my market. I understand how to qualify my lead. I understand how to build rapport with them. I understand how to start the negotiations. I understand the go for no with the LAO method. I also understand I have to write 2 contracts. Okay. I just gave you $10,000 of free coursework and just zigged through it. It's the truth. Go to freewholesaling.com. We'll even expand on it even more. And I want you to understand that. So now we got to talk about what types of leads are we going to do? And that's the main thing. So I'm going to put this scroll on the bottom. Okay. Here's the deal. I take the same idea with leads as I do with wholesaling. Start with the free stuff first. Why? You got to go out and get some deals done. You got to get repetition. You got to learn how to talk to people. We got to get your confidence level up. You are not going to build confidence by going out and talk to realtors with no experience. They're going to eat you alive. They speak a different language. It's completely different. They don't understand wholesaling. They don't want to understand wholesaling, and you're going to fight with them. So let's go and attack leads. Number one, we can do for free. And then as a bonus, I will show you some paid ones we can do. So let's just flip this over. I gave this a lot of thought, and I'm going to throw up on you here. But here we go. You ready? I gave you 31 ways to find any wholesale deal for free. You don't believe me? I've gotten a deal from every one of these I've tried. So I'm going to do a quick blitz, go through it, and then I'm going to highlight the ones that I want to attack and I want you to attack that you can do. So the first one, driving for dollars, an absolute must. Everybody should have this in their arsenal. I don't care how experienced you are. If you think you're too good for it, it means your ego's too big and you're probably not going to move very far in wholesaling. Remember, your ego is what you think of your person. It's just fake. It's what you think. What really matters is what everybody else thinks to a point. And you have to learn, I don't care what other people think about me because I'm a wholesaler. I have to go hunt. We are out there hunting. You call it whatever you want. You are hunting. Driving for dollars to me is a visual. It works perfect because it is a earned list. Nobody else has it but you. This one, I got to tell you, man, this is the bread and butter. I don't care what you do. You should always do it. To this day, when I go walking, I go driving, I do anything, I always do driving for dollars. It's somewhat of an obsession. Now, here's the good news. Go to freewholesaling.com, and I don't even teach a course on it. I just show you how to do it for free. And you've got to understand that's how we do it. So, code violations, another absolute must. Pre-foreclosures, I love pre-foreclosures. And then the probates, like back the ship up, let's go right here. So honestly, these are the top 4 I put in right off the bat. Why? Because they always work. And there's one thing I want you to understand is when you learn techniques to find wholesale deals, I find stuff that is tried and true and has worked forever. These techniques have worked over 100 years. They're not going to change. There's not going to be any TCPA compliance or anything like that. It's got to work. I love evictions. That's a great one. I mean, I can go through the whole thing. Fire damaged properties. So evictions you're going to get at your courthouse. Real simple. These are people that are being evicted. Fire damaged properties. Go to your local firehouse. Get a list of the most recently damaged properties from fire. Yes, you can wholesale those deals. People eat that stuff up. Next one. Water shutoffs. One of the harder lists to get. And I'll put that on there. Harder list. But remember, the harder the task, the bigger the reward. The harder it is to get the list, the more I want it. And you have to take that mentality in wholesaling. You see, you guys are so used to being taught the easy way to do everything. And then at the end, when you find out it doesn't work, was it really easy? No, it was easy on the person who sold it to you, but it's been brutal in your pocketbook. And more importantly, you wasted your time. Go back over to freewholesaling.com. We'll figure out how to get that. Arrest records, man, I love this one. I got to tell you, I found a niche in this one. And I find people that have committed felonies, mostly DUI, simple batteries, and they're going away multiple times, and I just cross-reference, see if they own a property. Bingo, bingo, I found it by accident, but I do quite a bit of deals off this, and these are very, very high-profit deals. Now, physical bandit signs. A lot of you guys knock this. I still do it. Why? Because it produces me money. Oh, my God, it seems so like, that's a little cheesy, Rick. Listen, are you so worried about how you look? Go out and get deals. Don't go out and buy 500 signs. Go get 10 or 15 signs from your local hardware store, the big box stores, white Coroplast 18 by 24, 3 lines. Use a big black Sharpie marker. You can buy those big fat ones like that and put on there, sell your house today, any condition, any situation, and your virtual phone number. Thank me later. I promise you. I've made millions off bandit signs. The only people that don't think they're cheesy are the guys putting them out there making money off of it. Virtual bandit signs, you guys can go online, figure out how to do it. We do it all the time. Why not ride other people's success? It's 100% legal and people are lazy. This is what I make a killing off the virtual bandit signs because so many gurus try to do the pay-per-click thing and I just ride their coattails and I get in the comments. There is gold in these comments, guys. I love it. It takes someone resourceful to think like this. This is how I'm thinking with wholesaling. Bandit comments. Listen, the guys doing the paid PPL and the PPC, they're going to have forms in it. They never monitor the comments. Go in the comments for gold. This is where the sellers are like, how fast can you close? That's where I'm just sliding in on those DMs and I'm nailing it. You know why? Because they give them to these sauce companies that are supposed to be handling everything, and everybody forgets about the comments or the investor doesn't want to pay for them. I'm going to teach people how to pay for the comments. These two are all these are 100% free, but I love them. The bandit comments, man, they are just awesome. Joint ventures. Do I need to say any more about it? We call them JVs. These are people you can pair up. When I first started wholesaling, I didn't know how to do dispo. I was really good at finding motivated seller leads, and people made money off of me for about 1.5 years. And it served the purpose for me, and I'm fine with it. If you have a specialty or you can help people close and you got a great cash buyers list, I love joint ventures, and it is a great way to get started in wholesaling. You got to learn to be efficient and very proficient in getting properties closed. Property managers, guys, this is a golden era of property managers. You're missing the boat if you don't go with property managers. They have hundreds, if not thousands, of properties they manage, and there is always 1 to 2% dogs in this. Those are the dogs you want. When I mean dog, I mean it's a rundown rental. Do you think there's landlords that never want to put a dime in the property and want the maximum rental, and the property managers can't stand these properties and want to get them sold? The key with them is I just pay them their full commission, and they're fine with it. We solve 2 problems. We put money in their pocket, and we get rid of a problem property. Moving on to the next one. Pre-realtor leads. Hey, Rick, I thought we were going to do an MLS. Pre-realtors is what we train you how to work with your realtors. Go over to freewholesaling.com. We teach you to work with your realtors. Hey, listen, if you ever have a property that you don't think is going to pass inspection, or it's really dirty and nasty, maybe you sold to them new and then 10 years later they can bring it back to your rough, give me a call. I'll get you a cash offer. I'll get your full commission paid, and you don't have to struggle trying to find a buyer and drive your seller crazy. Please give me a call. I'm okay with your realtor calling me 1, 2, maybe 3 times a year, but if you're going to go out there and just pound realtors with properties already on the market, enjoy the struggle, because it's real. And that is not a great way to build your business, build a reputation for yourself. And honestly, it is torture, especially as a beginner. So we teach you how to pre-vet the realtors. Pawn shops. I'm telling you guys, you think I'm kidding with this, but basically I look for pawn shops that are tied with bail bondsmen. Now, some of these are the same company, but they actually put liens on properties to make stuff work. There's people can go in a pawn shop and or a bail bondsman. You'd be surprised how many properties they have. You're going to have to build a relationship with them. It's not the easiest. These are businesses handed down generation to generation. But a lot of time they put liens on properties. They just want to get their money back. And a lot of the properties are rough. And I found a lot of deals in there. Next one, RIA meetings. One of my favorite ways. Go out to your local RIA meeting. Stands for Real Estate Investor Associations. It's a great place to network with other wholesalers like you. Remember, they're going to have fix and flippers. They're going to have rehabs. You're going to have landlords. You're going to have hard money guys. You're going to have realtors. You're going to have everything right there. Here's the key with it. Do networking before and after. I'm just going to give you a full disclosure. Don't sit there and buy all these ridiculous products. You don't need a $5,000 coaching program. If I'm going to tell you online, don't do it. Don't do it at the RIA meetings. Pay your dues. These clubs have value. I used to own one, and it is a great place to meet. $10, $20, you can usually get the first meeting free. Some of my best friends in wholesaling were discovered at the RIA meetings, and I love doing it. Go to multiple meetings, find more in your area. The next one, general contractors. Wait a minute, Rick. Why are we doing general contractors? How many failed bids do you think come from a general contractor? Meaning they write up a property at a little old lady's house, and they go, it's $130,000 to fix the house. I got to do the roof, got to do the AC, the plumbing. He says, well, I can't afford that. And the contractor just walks away and goes, okay, I just wasted my time. Think about this. You set up a relationship with the general contractor for any failed bids, and then you can give them a marketing fee off any of the houses you buy or first rights to fix that house up. I get a lot of deals on this. But even better, I will tell you this, the handymans are just as powerful. They go in. So a lot of cheap landlords called handymans, they want to hire them to do a $50,000 job and pay them like $2,000. This is where I get handyman and general contractors. Once again, failed bids, is the winner. Okay, the next one is going to be estate sale companies. These are people that advertise typically in your newspapers, in those little diner things that you sit around, and they help people get rid of a lot of junk that's accumulated in the house. A lot of older people fill up the garage, they fill up the attic, and they're not up to snuff health-wise to get them cleaned out. Sometimes it's from a probate sale, and these estate companies, they want to make money off selling the stuff, but the real money is in the real estate. So I try to set up a win-win. I say, listen, if you can introduce me to that seller and I buy that property, I will be happy to give you a marketing fee. The marketing fee is somewhat indicative on how big the deal is. I've given away a couple $1,000s to $5,000 on these deals, and I let them keep the proceeds to sell all the stuff from the house. We create a win-win situation. These are great, great companies. You got to go out and find them and set up a relationship with them. The next one, you go, Rick, have you lost your mind? Did you say actually bartenders? Yeah. So tell me, how many people have been a bartender on here? Now, I've never been a bartender. God knows I've sat on the other side of the bar. But the reality is bartenders hear people's problems all day, and they hear the really bad stuff. And they do not exclude real estate. Real estate is a key function of people telling you what's wrong in their life. So honestly, I've hired bartenders as acquisitions people, and they are great, great referral sources. Hey, Susie told me her house is in pre-foreclosure. Maybe you could help her out. He gives me a warm introduction, and bam, we get a deal off of it. It happens. Remember, the more chatty people are, the more they're connected. Find people that are really good at networking, connecting, and offer them a referral fee or a marketing fee to find people that need to get their houses sold. Title companies, absolutely probably one of the biggest ones outside of these. Title companies know who the biggest closers are, who has the most cash, and they know who does the most amount of deals. They know who the players are, and they know when deals fall apart. When deals fall apart, title companies call Rick. They call Zach, and we get it done. They are my connection to my probate lawyers, to my real estate lawyers, to any type of hard money lenders, which leads us to the next one, hard money lenders. Like, Rick, what do you mean by hard money lenders? Hard money lenders loan money out on properties that are being rehabbed. By the time, listen, about a third of these people never make it. It's just the truth. And by the way, when you start out in wholesaling, don't do hard money. That transitions you over to a fix and flipper. It has nothing to do with wholesaling. If you do wholesaling correct, you should never have to fund a deal past the earnest money deposit. You should have funding sources. Don't mix the two up. But hard money lenders have failed deals all the time, and sometimes they just want to get rid of it and they want to get their money back. Sometimes you can swoop in and get great deals on it and match it up with your cash buyers. Quick claim deeds. Bet you probably never heard of that. This is a technique I've used quite often. I only do it either once or twice a year. I run a search on quick claim deeds. You can do it for free at your courthouse, at the property appraiser site, or you can use one of your advanced, you can use X-Leads or anything like that. Quick claim deeds always indicates there's something funky going on. So it's not quick, it's quit. And these usually will indicate there's some sort of problem. By the way, most quick claim deeds that are filed, more than 70% of them are wrong. So they need some sort of title cure. So I'm telling you, quick claim deeds are a great trigger, and it doesn't cost you any money. The divorce list, not my favorite for obvious reasons. It's very tough to deal with them. Garage sales. My God, do I love garage sales. You're like, well, Rick, wait a minute. You're going to make me go to garage sales? No, I'm not going to make you go to garage sales. You're going to look up garage sales in your area, look it up on social media, get the addresses where the garage sales are, and you're going to look to see if it's an absentee owner. How do you know if it's an absentee owner? It's going to have a different mailing address. Why is that important? That means it's a rental. 9 times out of 10, especially towards the end of the year, these are what we call midnight move-out garage sales, meaning the landlord has no idea that people are having a garage sale and getting ready to move out. A lot of times they're selling the landlord's belongings. So what I do is I basically, once I verify it is a investor property, meaning the mailing address is different than the physical address, I'm going to skip trace that phone number. I'm going to reach out and call the owner and go, hey, listen, I want to know a little bit more about your garage sale. And once they say, go, what are you talking about? I just shared a valuable piece of information with that landlord. And now I'm going to connect with them, and I'm going to help them and tell them what I know. And then I'm going to ask them if they're, hey, would you ever consider selling the property? Well, now I might have to. Man, I'm in shock. Can I meet you over there tomorrow morning? Stuff like that. Garage sales, guys. A lot of things happen in the garage sales. We are not looking for the chronic garage sale people. We're looking for the ones that are landlord-owned properties that works really well. Number 26, local auctions. That's right. I bought properties at local auctions. I love them. Sometimes when the market's super hot, they're not that great. But like right about now, a lot of people are showing up at these auctions. They have one property being sold. There's sometimes 50, 60, I've seen as many as 100 buyers. Is a golden place not only to get cash buyers, but sometimes the auction fails. And I have stepped up and bought a property wholesale with a wholesale contract because they've already tried. Local auctions means they really need to sell it, but they're trying to get the highest price. And when the highest price doesn't work out, voila, we are there. Now, it doesn't work every time, but I'm just telling you, swing the bat enough, you'll get one. I've picked up at least a dozen properties on local auctions. They typically happen on Saturdays in your local market. And once again, these are generational owners and families, sometimes 50, 60 years. 27 Zillow FSBOs. Do I need to say any more? You're going to have to go through a massive amount of quantity to make this work. What the heck? It's free. Why not give it a shot? Not my favorite way to do it, but it is. I have people getting deals all the time on it. For rents. Well, Rick, what am I doing for rents? You can do for rents in Zillows. You can do for rents in Trulia. You can do them in Realtor.com. It doesn't matter. You can do it in Facebook Marketplace. For rents is a great place to not only find more cash buyers, but sometimes when these properties for rent, they are vacant. And when there's vacant, you have a chance of getting a wholesale deal. They might be just so fed up. They're like, heck, you know what? I just want to sell it. I can't get it rented. Why not? I actually love the for rent. This is a big, big one for me. That helped me out my first 2 years big time. Tax delinquency, I can't say enough about this. These are people that are behind on their real estate taxes. And this is an absolute no-brainer on that. And then you have HOA liens. That's right. You can look up HOA liens. Just find the community that you want to do it and do a search in public records. HOA liens in most states have superior ability just below the mortgage and the property taxes. They're very powerful liens. And if you can find people with HOA liens, they're usually going to be in some sort of pre-foreclosure or tax delinquency situation. So they go hand in hand. And the last one I put on here for giggles is expired listings, because at this point, everybody's given up on the listing. The realtor's out. Why not just use the expired listings, find the homeowner, skip trace them, and call them direct. And go, listen, I saw your property's listed. I would love, do you have interest in getting it sold? By this time, the reality of the price should have set in. And we put that kind of down right there. Now, as a quick monitor on here, let me see here. Guys, I'm serious on the bartender thing. Like, you think I'm kidding? It's like for real. I want to circle the ones that you can go in here. Now, of these lists, right here, I'm going to tell you pre-foreclosures, a little bit on probates. I got to expand on that a little bit further. Not fire damage, not arrest records, property managers. Let's see here. General contractors, RIA meetings, title companies. Tax delinquencies, liens, and expired listings. Everything in green, you can go on X Leads. And you can definitely get that on X Leads. And I want you to understand that it's powerful. Now, guys, I'm going to come back with another series on this and explain some of the paid ways that you can find it. But I can tell you right now, you need to exhaust these 31 before you start going to paid list. All the gurus will tell you, you got to go to direct mail. You've got to use these fancy softwares. We like to use X Leads. Number one, we own the company and we know exactly what wholesalers want. I know what wholesalers want because it's what I need. And I fight. The last thing I want to do is own a software company, but the software companies left me no choice. And so if you want to learn more about it, go over to X Leads. I got to scroll on the bottom. But guys, if you have not exhausted every 31 of these and you are complaining about how can I get more deals, you're missing the boat. And you have to understand that. So if you have, I'm looking at questions here. I'm not trying to be off screen, but I can only bend so far to do everything. This was a lot of information. And I apologize, I couldn't answer all the questions. I will try to go back. If you leave a comment in the section, I promise you I will come back and answer it. But guys, I want to recap what we've gone through. First of all, we went through the entire process. What is wholesaling? How does it work? What is its function? What are the rules of wholesaling? I give you the 3 rules. You can't break these rules. You break these rules, everything else breaks. This is like math. When you went back through, like, this is more like algebra. If you can't figure out chapter 1, chapter 2 through 19 is not going to work. Then we walked you through on what a motivated seller is. And remember the 3 rules. I cannot stress that part enough. And you have to understand. We taught you how to pick your market locally or virtually. Then we go into and taught you how to qualify your sellers. Remember, you're going to disqualify more people than you qualify, and you have to understand. I taught you stop comping. You're wasting your time. You want to be a realtor? Go comp. Wholesaling has nothing to do with comping. You got it. If the property's worth 200, you need to buy at 110, 120. So what do you care if it's worth 185 or 210? It's a waste of time. You're trying to do things the old ways that didn't get you where you want to go. You want certainty, and I'm telling you, you're not going to get that here. You get certainty by going through and working with sellers. Now, we go through the qualifying, MCTP. Go to freewholesaling.com. We'll teach you how to do that. Then I'm going to teach you how to build rapport. We're going to turn scripts into conversations. Once we do that, we're going to go into our transition statement, and we're going to go into our negotiations. And this is where we're going to use our LAO. We're going to lose the MAO, and we are going to use the technique go for no. It's going to freak you out. It's going to make you very uncomfortable and scared. It means you're in the right place. Stay there. Remember, if you do the hard work up front, everything else is easy. If you think you're going to skate through this and do the easy way and buy these, what you think are cheating courses, they're just going to cheat you out of money out of your pocketbook, and you're going to wind up back here and you're going to have to do the hard work anyways. So I'd rather you do it right the first time, right? Do it right the first time, and it's a lot easier. Do that hard conversation up front. Everything else is easy. If you do it in the opposite order, wholesaling sucks. Then we taught you about the contracts. There's 2 contracts, guys. Purchase and sales agreement. Our 2-page Flip with Rick contract you can get at freewholesaling.com. And then we teach you about the assignment of contract. I've got over 22 years experience. Use my contracts. It will protect you against scrupulous, daisy-chaining wholesalers that are going to waste your time. And remember, guys, I'm not giving you legal advice. You want to consult it with your local attorney. Make sure you're compliant with all state laws. And the last part I'm going to tell you with that I didn't touch on, this was a lot of information in an hour and a half, is wholesaling is 100% legal. There's just all these people go on the internet and like, it's banned, it's this. It's not. The only thing they ever attack is doing wholesaling the right way. And I actually agree with them. You see, you're supposed to sell your contract, not pictures of the property. Pictures of the property are for pretty real estate agents. I'm just your homely wholesaler. I'm here to sell a great deal, to facilitate a transaction that needs to be done because realtors can't fill this void. Cash buyers can't find them on their own. It takes people like us, resourceful wholesalers, to figure out how to help people. So please don't buy into this wholesaling. It's going to be illegal, man. It's guaranteed in your constitutional right. The only thing they're ever attacking is how you market your deals. And if you're marketing it through pictures, you're sending out mass emails, you're doing it wrong. You bought the wrong course. I don't know what else to tell you. Fix it. Go over to freewholesaling.com. Let me show you how to do it. And then last but not least, 31 ways to find free leads. You can't get a property under contract in 21 days after this video. I need to shake you through that camera and get through to you. This business is not complicated. We just complicate the crap out of it. You have to go in with an open mind. You have to lose your ego, and you have to be willing to learn. And you got to understand you're going to fail in the beginning. It's okay. That's how you learn the game of wholesaling. So 31 days, I'll leave this up here. I promise I'll go back with a video. We'll do some more advanced strategies, but I felt like I had to get this off my chest. Honestly, everything I gave you today is probably a $5,000 course. I'm giving you 22 years experience. Why? I want you to be successful, and I want to do deals with you guys. If you guys are going to Orlando, I will see everybody tomorrow. I'm excited to go out there and meet up with everybody. If you guys get a chance, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about this video. And as usual, if you got value, make sure you smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button. The more people that subscribe is probably the greatest compliment you can give to me. But remember, my job is to make you successful as a wholesaler and make you see the light. And all I can do is just keep telling you the truth about wholesaling because it's all I know how to teach. There is no other way to do this. I live, eat, and breathe this business. I love you guys. I love you guys paying attention to me. And more importantly, learning about the truth of wholesaling. If this video doesn't straighten it out for you, come back. I'll keep doing it over and over. I am not too big to come down and show you guys how to do this because I remember the first day I started wholesaling, I did not get a lot of help. It was very frustrating. And I vowed one day when I got to the level that I am at now, I would give back to the community. And this is how I do it. So if you enjoyed this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Leave me some comments. I appreciate you guys. And I'll see you in Orlando and I'll see you in the next video. Later.